we're still breathing. Just get this in the tripod. Ooh, I think that's broken. Hang on. Sorry, 1 sec, everyone. There we go, that'll do, I think. I always look really startled, like you have to take a little selfie when you set up the session. And I always look really startled, like I don't think I look like that normally, but I always look really sort of scared almost, I suppose. It's weird. Hang on, sorry. Okay. So, it's another day and we're still breathing. So we're gonna stand with our feet hip distance apart. You can discover where that is by finding your hip bones. You can feel around, find where that hip bone is. Point your fingers down. Then you want your big toe to be sort of directly underneath where your fingers are pointing. Weight equally distributed between your big toe, your middle toe and your heel. Check there's nothing around that you can bang into. We want to feel like we've got a string coming out of the top of our head, and that's going to hopefully make our neck a bit longer, help straighten our spine, shoulders down. We're just going to swing from our hips and just allow our arms to just flap round. Thanks. Simon said that I look fine in my selfies. Yeah, I don't know, it's just so weird because it's like, I don't know, I take the selfie and I just always look, I don't know, a little bit surprised or something. It's weird. Anyway. And so yeah, we're just gonna swing from our hips. Let our arms relax and flap round. Very good. Okay. And shake it out. So each week we're doing a different body part there's a different body part that we're focusing on. Sorry, having a little bit of a problem with my tripod today. Yeah, so the reason we're focusing on different parts of the body is just to try, everybody holds tension in sort of all these random places in our body. So I just figured if we try and go through every different part of the body, then eventually we'll get to your part. And you know, whilst we're doing this, even if you don't hold tension in this part, it's still kind of good, it warms it up. Obviously, if there's anything that you find uncomfortable or can't do, then you know, you can sit out this exercise or whatever. But we're kind of around about this area, this little ribcage area for this week. So we're going to try and do it, it's called an isolation exercise, easy for you to say. We're just going to try and bring our ribcage forward and back to the centre, and then back and back to the centre. Because it's an isolation exercise, we want to try not to sort of move our head, or you know, people do all sorts of funny things with their hips. We want to try, and you know, it's quite difficult actually, this area when you've not done it before. But we just want to try and keep everything else as still as we possibly can. Just go forward, centre, back, centre, forward, centre, back, centre. You don't have to have your hands on your hips. Some people find that helps because you can kind of hold your hips still. Obviously, if you do have your hands on your hips, try and keep your shoulders down. And now we're just going to go straight through, nice and smoothly, without stopping in the middle. Very good. Now we're going to go to the side, one side, centre, other side, centre. And again, we're going to try and keep our head nice and still. It's very tempting to sort of tilt your head, but if you can, try and keep it straight, and then just straight through without stopping in the middle. And now we're going to make a square, so we're going to go forward, right, back, left, forward, left, back, right, forward, right, back, left, forward, left, back, right, forward, right, back, left, forward, left, back, right. And now we're going to try and make a circle. So we're going to smooth out what we were just doing and try and make this circle. Trying really hard to keep, and the other way, to keep everything else as still as we possibly can. I'm not the best person to example this, but getting there. Okay, very good. And shake it all out. So we're going to come back to feet hip distance apart. Knees, whenever I say straight legs, you can have your knees slightly bent. All that we want to make sure is that we're not sort of locking our knee in that really sort of tight, straight thing, because that creates tension. So some people are able to have completely straight legs and not have that tension, but I tend to, if I have straight legs, they'll be sort of locked straight, and it's not very good. It just causes extra tension in your body. So we're going to breathe, but the way in which I want you to breathe is different to how you normally think of breathing. So normally we think of breathing as taking in a breath and then sort of relaxing to breathe out. I want you to flip that on its head. So basically we have a big muscle here that just sits underneath our rib cage. If you feel around, find your bottom ribs, you can find that's where your diaphragm sits, and that's our breathing muscle. So when we breathe out, that's when I want you to engage the diaphragm and work really hard to push the air out. And then when we're going to breathe in, I just want you to relax, drop the diaphragm, and just sort of allow the air to flood back in, rather than taking in a breath and then relaxing to breathe out. It's the other way around. It's working to breathe out, push out the air, and then relaxing to breathe in. So we're just going to get into a little rhythm. In a minute, we'll add some arm movements, and they're going to go like this. When you breathe out, you're going to bring your hands up like this, and that sort of represents your diaphragm pushing the air out. And then when we relax and drop, our hands are going to drop down like this, and then we're going to bring our arms up like this, and that represents our rib cage expanding as our lungs fill with air. So first of all, we're just going to breathe, and we're just going to get into a little rhythm. We're going to bend and straighten our legs. So I don't want any jerky movements, and we're just going to, as we come up, we breathe in and then out. Very good. And now we're going to add the arm movements on the next one. So out and in, push, relax. And on the next one, we'll go to the side, the next one. Good, and shake it out. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of box breathing. Just going to have a sip of water. Make sure you drink plenty of water all the time. Everybody always says that, but it really is a very healthy thing to do. Okay, so we're going to do the box breathing, which is breathing in for 4, holding for 4, out for 4, holding for 4. It's not necessarily such a brilliant singing one, other than it's sort of, you know, another layer of controlling your breathing. But this is a really good stress relief sort of exercise, and you can do it anywhere. You can do it standing up, sitting down, in the office, and no one really knows you're doing it, you know, and it does just help calm you down. So it's quite a good one to just have in the back of your mind if you ever need it. So we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now a nice big stretch and a yawn. So that open feeling in your throat, that's a very good feeling for singing. So if that is why you're doing these exercises, remember that sort of feeling. Okay, we're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart. If you want to sit down, then I suggest you stand with your feet hip distance apart and then just sit, so that then your legs will be in a really nice sort of comfortable position. I'm just going to plug my phone in actually. So for everybody, we want to have the string coming out of the top of our head as if we were a marionette puppet. Nice long neck, nice straight spine, shoulders down. If you're standing, well, if you're sitting with our feet hip distance apart, don't straighten your knees too severely so that they're locked straight. If you need to have them slightly bent, that's absolutely fine. And we're going to find a spot on the wall that is roughly our own eye level for us to look at. If it's too high and then it can affect your posture, or too low and you're looking down. So we want it to be roughly our own eye level. Ideally, you can be looking in a mirror, then obviously you can just look into your own eyes. That's also good because then as little bad habits sort of creep in, and then you can see them and it makes it easier to correct. As and when the bad habits do creep in, don't worry, don't beat yourself up about it. The solution is to relax. So if you kind of get angry at yourself, it does make it harder to relax. And also just be aware that, you know, sometimes if you've had a bad habit, like for me, I've said this so many times, but one of my bad habits is that my shoulders go up. And I've been doing that for years and years before I knew that I needed to relax out of it. And you know, it took a few years before I was able to comfortably have my shoulders down. And obviously it still creeps in occasionally, but you know, we just look at this as like a long-term thing. It's not that you're going to sort of notice something and then suddenly it's just solved. You know, it takes a while to relax your muscles and you know, understand your own body and all this kind of thing. So just be gentle with yourself emotionally as well. Okay, so we're just going to breathe. We're going to push the air out using our diaphragm, and we're going to channel the air to the spot on the wall, something like this. So you can get started. What I want you to do is when you get to the end of the breath, I want you to just try and push a little bit more. There's almost always more air in your lungs than you realise. You think you've got to the end of the breath, and then if you just push a bit more, you'll find there is some air in there. Sometimes it helps, especially before your diaphragm is strong, to then actually put your hands on your rib cage and give it a little squeeze, just sort of physically, well, it's always physical, I suppose, but you know, with your hands, just squeeze out that last bit of air. Then when you finally get to the end of the breath, I want you to hold it for as long as you can, hold it, and then you're going to just relax. And the diaphragm's going to drop and the air's going to flood back in. So push, 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 push a little bit more, hold it, then relax, and just allow the air to flood back in. Obviously, this is a stretching exercise, so you know, it's okay to be out of your comfort zone, but if it feels uncomfortable or you know, you feel lightheaded or anything, then obviously stop or take it a bit easier. Because I can't be in the room with you, I can't gauge what's going on, so you've got to just be responsible for your own body, but just make sure you don't use that as an excuse to be lazy. Okay. Very good. So come to the end of whatever breath you're on, and then on your next one, we're going to do a shh sound. So we want to make sure we've got enough space in our mouth shh, to push the air out. We don't want to be holding any air back. And we also don't want to hold any air back because we think maybe that will make our breath last longer. What we're trying to do here is push the air out in a controlled way, but we just want to get rid of all the air. So if you're in the room with somebody else doing this exercise or just doing it with me, if my lung capacity seems to be bigger than yours or smaller than yours, don't stop just because I stop if you've still got breath left, but also don't panic if, me or somebody else is, pushing out a breath that's longer than yours. There's no right or wrong as long as we're all using our diaphragm to just push upwards, squeeze the air out of our lungs, push a little bit more, and then when we finally get to the end of the breath, we hold it, and then relax, drop the diaphragm, and just allow the air to flood back in. So we're on a shh. If you can, in your mind's eye, visualize the diaphragm pushing, squeeze the lungs getting squeezed. That's really helpful. And then when the diaphragm drops, if you can picture your rib cage expanding and your lungs filling with air. Some people find that very helpful. Not everyone can visualize that. It doesn't matter if there's anything. Some people find doing the arm movements like we did in the previous exercise is helpful. Whatever works for you, as long as you're consciously trying to activate your diaphragm and push, and then relax, drop it, and allow the air to flood back in. It's really warm today. Okay, so come to the end of whatever breath you're on, and on the next one, we're going to do an ooh. So we want to slightly exaggerate, bring our lips forward, ooh, nice tight ooh, but make sure there's enough space so that you can push the air out. You can pick any note you like. Ooh. Make sure you're constantly correcting your posture as and when you notice any bad habits creeping in. Very good. Okay, come to the end of whatever note, whatever breath you're on, and then just shake it out if you need to. Very good. Okay, so we're going to get back into our comfortable position. You can be standing, you can be sitting, whatever works for you. String out top of your head, nice long neck, nice long spine, shoulders down, weight equally distributed between your big toe, outside, and back of your foot. If you want to sit down, maybe be in this position and then just sit down. You can sit on the floor as well if that's comfortable for you, but just whatever position that you're in, just be mindful that you're not making any muscles work that don't need to be working. You just want to be nice and relaxed. And you're going to look at your spot and then just close your eyes. And I just want you to breathe normally. You can breathe through your nose or your mouth or a combination of the two for this exercise, whatever's comfortable, But where I want you to be putting your focus is the diaphragm, pushing the air, squeezing the air out of your lungs, and then dropping as you relax. And you don't take the breath in, you just allow the breath in. You don't need to hold it when you get to the end of a breath. Just get into a much more normal rhythm, just breathing in and out. But the way I want you to be doing this is to activate the diaphragm, use the muscles, work to push the air out, and then just relax and just allow the air back in as your diaphragm just drops down. So you're just going to get into your own rhythm. And whilst you're doing that, I want you to listen to whatever sounds you can hear outside the room that you're in. So it might be birds tweeting, there might be a car driving by, it might be completely silent where you are, but then you'll listen to the silence, and any other thoughts that pop into your head, any other sounds from inside the room, you might hear them because they're there, but you're just not going to listen to them. Just for this sort of brief moment, it's almost like they don't exist because you're not listening to them. You're just listening to the sounds outside the room, and you're just concentrating on pushing the air out of your lungs with your diaphragm, and then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. else is going to melt away. And you're just going to listen to your body and breathe. Continue pushing the air out of your lungs using your diaphragm, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. And now I want you to put those three things together. So we're going to listen to our own bodies, we're going to listen to the room that we're in, and we're going to listen to the world beyond the room that we're in. And we're going to feel the connection and our place within that. All through breathing, pushing with our diaphragm to squeeze the air out of our lungs, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. session. Well done, everybody. So we're going to finish today like we always do with a little sing-along. So whilst we're singing, I want you to remember what we've learned with the breathing and try and put it into practice. So as we sing, we're going to be pushing with our diaphragm to get the words out, and then when we need to take in a breath at the end of the phrase, we're going to just relax, drop the diaphragm, and the air is going to flood back in. So this week's song is Three Little Birds, and it's got 3 little chords. So anybody that plays an instrument, we've got B, F sharp, and E. I play E6. So I've got lyrics in the description. There's a link to the lyrics, so I'll just give you a second to find those if you need them. Make sure you open it in a new tab so you don't lose this session. Oh, thank you, Simon. I'm just going to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for joining me today. So let's get started. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smiled with the rising sun. 3 little birds pitched by my doorstep, singing sweet sounds of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smiled with the rising sun. 3 little birds perched by my doorstep, singing sweet sounds of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Because every little thing's gonna be alright. Well done, everybody. I will be back tomorrow at 11 AM Greenwich Mean Time, and every weekday at 11. So hopefully I will see you again soon. Have a great Tuesday and a fabulous rest of your week. And I will hopefully see you again soon. Lots of love. Bye.